Welcome to the infamous edition of the Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation done through creative storytelling of history's most infamous people. Now, let's meet our guest. Welcome to the podcast. Let's start at the absolute beginning, where the public narrative hasn't yet distorted who you were. When and where were you born, and what was your given name?
Subject. Well, Calvin, the world knows us as the Harpe Brothers, but truth be told, we were actually first cousins born in Orange County, North Carolina. I was born Joshua Harper around 1768, and my cousin beside me was born William Harper around 1770. Our families came over from Scotland before the Revolution, but by the time we hit the Wilderness Trail, we shed those names and became Micajah, Big Harpe, and Wiley, Little Harpe.
What was your hometown and home life like as a child?
Subject. We grew up in a strict Calvinist household in North Carolina, but our world tore apart early on. Our fathers, John and William, were avowed Tories, loyal to King George III. Because they sided with the British Crown, our neighbors hated us. Tensions escalated so fiercely that local patriots attacked our home and lynched our parents right in front of our eyes. We fled into the deep woods as orphan boys, terrified and seeking a way to survive.
Was there a story behind your name or a nickname that stuck with you?
Subject. We changed our last name from Harper to Harpe because the Harper name was too tightly tied to the Tory cause, making us instant targets. As we grew, the frontier gave us the names that stuck forever. I stood massive and broad, so they called me Big Harpe. Wiley was smaller and more calculated, so he became Little Harpe.
What were you like as a child, and how many years of schooling did you actually attend?
Subject. We didn't have much of what you would call proper schooling. The woods became our only classroom. After our parents were killed, we were taken in by a renegade band of Chickamauga Cherokee. They became our real teachers. While other children were sitting in schoolrooms learning to read and write, we spent those years learning how to live entirely off the land, how to hunt, trap, steal livestock, raid properties, and strike down an enemy without mercy.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Subject. It started when we took up jobs as overseers on a slave plantation in Virginia around 1775. But the real turn happened when we decided to use our frontier skills for raw survival by rustling livestock. We thought we were just taking what we needed from the people who persecuted our families. But that small choice to live outside the law set us on a path of absolute lawlessness.
Let's talk about your early run-ins with the law. Before the world knew your name for your most infamous actions, what was your very first arrest or interaction with law enforcement, and what were the consequences?
Subject. In 1797, we were living near Knoxville, Tennessee, making a living by stealing our neighbors' horses and pigs. The locals finally caught on and captured us for horse theft. We managed to break free from our captors right then and there, and that escape changed something inside us. We vowed right then that we would use outright violence against anyone who tried to cross us or cage us again.
At what moment did you realize your name would never be forgotten?
Subject. It was after we broke out of the Danville jail in March of 1799. We had been locked up for a series of murders along the Wilderness Road, leaving our pregnant wives behind in custody. When we busted out of that jail, we went on a tear that grabbed the entire frontier by the throat. We killed a young boy near Columbia, Kentucky, while a posse was actively hunting us, and the sheer terror in the eyes of the settlers let us know our names were etched into the history of the wild.
Who do you believe betrayed you first? A person, society, or your own instincts?
Subject. Society betrayed us first when our neighbors murdered our parents just for being loyal to the crown. That broke our trust in humanity before we were even grown men. But in the end, it was our own brutal instincts that did us in. We brought the wrath of the frontier down on ourselves by letting our anger rule us, leaving trails of bodies that forced the world to hunt us like wild animals.
What was your most unique habit or a random fact about you that would surprise people?
Subject. People might be surprised to hear that we used religious disguises to move freely through the wilderness. We actually posed as traveling Methodist preachers or even as vigilantes who claimed to be hunting the notorious Harpe Brothers. It was a perfect ruse that allowed us to gather intelligence on who was looking for us, figure out where the search parties were, and walk right under the noses of the law.
Did you have any known rivalries that defined your career?
Subject. Our primary adversaries were the vengeful posses and frontier lawmen who formed specifically to track us down. Men like Captain Young, who raided our outlaw paradise at Cave-in Rock, Illinois, and driven settlers like Moses Stiegel and John Bowman, who dedicated their lives to putting an end to our existence.
When the law finally closed in, how exactly were you brought to justice? Walk me through the final arrest, the charges that ultimately stuck, and the legal outcome of your trials.
Subject. Justice came for us at different times, Calvin. In the summer of 1799, a posse caught up with me, Big Harpe, in a Muhlenberg County canebrake after we killed Moses Stiegel's family. I was shot in the spine, and while I lay there helpless but still conscious, Stiegel took a butcher knife and cut my head off. Wiley managed to escape that day and spent years running with the river pirate Samuel Mason. In 1803, Wiley tried to collect a bounty on Mason's head using a fake name, but a soldier recognized him. He was arrested, tried in January 1804 in Mississippi, and sentenced to hang.
When, where, and how did you pass away?
Subject. I, Big Harpe, died on August 24, 1799, in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, from a gunshot to the spine followed by decapitation. My severed head was placed in a tree at a crossroads in Highland Lick as a warning. Wiley, Little Harpe, died on February 8, 1804, on the gallows in Greenville, Mississippi. His head was cut off too and placed on a stake along the Natchez Trace.
Calvin, do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before signing off?
Subject. Just that the frontier was a brutal place that bred brutal men. We lived by the blade and the rifle because the world showed us no mercy when we were boys. The history books call us monsters, but we were simply a product of a bloody era where only the fiercest survived, even if our survival cost us our heads.
And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, do better with the life you have been given and choose to do good in this life. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.